All right, what's going on, guys? So I don't need to spend too much time on this topic for those of you guys coming from the ebook, because we've already discussed, like, for the first 3 chapters, kind of this very similar dynamic in regards to, you know, the pitching mechanics and staying athletic, being athletic, doing athletic things, avoiding, you know, the mechanical concepts that sometimes promote very robotic movements. But I just want to kind of put some icing on the cake, as this will be the last chapter pertaining to more of the mental side of pitching mechanics. Okay, so when I say foundation of athleticism, we obviously know I talk about this a lot in regards to establishing a very strong foundation. Doesn't matter if it's pitching mechanics, doesn't matter if it's like life in general. Establish a strong foundation, so that when things kind of go, you know, off the rails, or when ish hits the fan, like, you always have that foundation that is sturdy, well built, that's not going to just crumble when things kind of get tough, right? The way that I kind of approach it pertaining to pitching mechanics is, like, you say you have your set, like, delivery, and you have your mechanical cues, and it's very individualized, and again, all these things are great, but it's something to where, like, in order for you to be good, you have to feel like your mechanics are sound, right? I hear this kind of a lot with working with clients and you know, having, like, reports come back from their games, and usually the question I ask is like, how'd you feel? Why was an outing bad? And it's like, oh, my mechanics were off. So not that that's like a wrong answer or anything. Obviously, that's a feeling that comes about within a game like that. But there's a certain point in time where we have to kind of understand that sometimes we're going to feel off. Like, sometimes we're going to feel absolutely terrible. And, you know, to rely solely and have a foundation solely on, like, oh, I have sound mechanics, I personally just believe that it's a very kind of unstable foundation, if you will. But now moving into, like, the foundation of athleticism, then athleticism is going to then promote that kind of sensation of, all right, not feeling great, not feeling like I'm in my mechanics, not feeling that powerful back leg, or not feeling that my hand's out on time. But, like, if you have this athletic foundation, this athletic base, and your body is accustomed to doing athletic things, then we can throw everything out the window and just be like the athlete that we are and the athlete that we train to be, okay? Now, that kind of is going to lead into the next talking point within the athletic that we train to be, because this is extremely important, and it hits home from personal experience, having been drafted at 18 and having coming out of high school being, you know, one of those two-way guys. Obviously, everyone plays a position in high school. You take ground balls every day, you hit, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as I got drafted, it was kind of like, oh, hey, you're a PO, you're a pitcher now, like, only do pitcher things. So I kind of fell into that pattern of monotonous throwing, leg lift, maybe a shuffle every single day, right? So for me, I learned the hard way how, like, you know, in order to train athletic movements, you got to do athletic things, right? So that's why if you ever see my stuff, and we'll dive into a lot of these things throughout the book, you know, deviation throwing, certain, you know, ways of movement into a throw, time sensitive, task orientation throwing, you know, overload, underload, just anything that involves some sort of different input, right? Because if your body only knows one way to move, then when that one way doesn't feel good or whatever, your body doesn't really know how to make those in-game kind of adjustments. That's why you'll obviously, we'll dive into a lot of, like, the physical representations of what I'm talking about and how that, like, obviously looks. But just to give you that context in terms of what I don't want to fall victim of with my clients is being pitchers, being very, you know, emphasizing a lot of pitching mechanics. What I don't want to happen is that we fall victim of this very mechanical, robotic type of movement, and we focus so heavily, like, in our drill progressions of you know, this pitching style, that we lose sight on, like, what a solid, optimal foundation is, right? So that's why I always say, like, you got to balance the scales. Yes, we're going to set aside time and we're going to do our drill progressions and we're going to really try to create an environment that provides feedback, but we're also going to say, okay, dude, you've done enough of this. Like, let's go out and we'll take ground balls, or we'll do like fungos in the gap and we'll run down fly balls, like something like that, that just balances the scales, right? You don't want to do too much of one thing. You want to, again, this is my kind of teaching philosophy, but you want to deviate from the task and you want to challenge the body. You want to challenge the system with different input as much as you can, so then it knows how to make those adjustments, right? And that's extremely important because, like I said, I mean, obviously everyone's going to be kind of different in how they kind of approach what it takes for them to be great. But I know from personal experience and talking to a lot of guys, especially guys that are drafted out of high school, this is something super common that happens where they go from high school being, you know, a guy that does everything, super active, super involved with all of like the team fundies and everything. And then you go and just PO, pitcher only, you're doing one type of movement pattern every single day. And you just lose. I don't even know if it's like you lose sight on, I don't know if it's you physically lose your athleticism or just like your body is just a creature of habit, right? So if your habits are just what you're not doing from an athletic standpoint, then it's not going to just be there. But who knows? So that was another thing for me coming in out of high school was like I played basketball too, and I remember when I first got released, it was like the best thing for me because I was like, all right, back to the drawing board. I'm literally going to do what I did in high school. And then boom, next thing you know, like everything just kind of fell into place. You know, velocity came, command came, athleticism came, and it was like, okay, this is what it is for me, right? This is what I need. Everyone's going to be different, and that's kind of a self-identification process. But I do think for like the mass majority of individuals that throw a baseball, the foundation needs to be athletic. So whoever came up with the idea that pitchers aren't athletes, it's absolutely erroneous. It's baffling because like we have to be the most athletic freaking guy on the field because of what we have to do every single time we throw this thing to our catcher. It's crazy. And yeah, so I just wanted to make a video, provide some more context, provide some more videos I've done in the past. For those of you guys watching this from the ebook, Chapter 4, Foundation of Athleticism, but extremely passionate about it, and hopefully that everything I just said kind of can make sense in your mind. So that's my biggest encouragement. Be an athlete every day of your life. All right, love you guys. See ya.